Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to relationships, there's a powerful truth that we often shy away from. Vulnerability is not a weakness. In fact, it's the very thing that enables us to build deep and meaningful connections with others. One of the most telling signs that someone misses you deeply is when they reach out to you unexpectedly without any clear or obvious reason. In today's world, it's easy for people to get caught up in the rush of daily life and only contact others when there's something specific to address. We've all been there texting someone because we need help with something or calling because we have a question. But when someone misses you, their motivation to reach out shifts. It's not about the conversation, it's about the connection. The lack of a clear reason is in itself a clue that their desire to interact with you comes from a deeper emotional space. They aren't trying to get something out of the interaction, they just want to hear your voice, know how you're doing, or share a fleeting thought. It could be something as simple as a "how's your day going?" or a "I just thought of you when I saw this," often prompted by a memory or an experience you both shared. There is an unspoken language here, a subtle invitation to reconnect, to revive a sense of closeness, and to remind you that they are thinking about you even when life doesn't seem to require it. They might share something seemingly trivial, like a funny video or an interesting article, just to spark a conversation and reestablish the emotional bond between you two. At the heart of it, these small gestures aren't about the subject matter, they are about creating a space for communication, even if just for a moment. What makes this sign even more poignant is that it's often not on a schedule. He doesn't wait for a holiday, a special occasion, or even a specific need to talk. His message might come at an odd hour when it seems unnecessary, yet in reality, it's his way of saying, "I miss you. I want to reach out just because I miss having you in my life, even in the smallest of ways." This reaching out might happen on the heels of silence, when you haven't spoken in a while, and yet there he is appearing in your inbox, sending a simple text that catches you off guard. You might even wonder, why now? The truth is, when someone misses you deeply, they often find themselves reaching out, not because it's necessary, but because they need that connection, that sense of closeness, to feel more grounded and connected to the world around them. It's these small, spontaneous gestures without an agenda that carry the most weight. They reflect a vulnerability that is both genuine and raw. No pretense, no hidden agenda, just a simple desire to connect. They're not asking for anything in return, they're simply sending you a piece of themselves, saying, "I'm thinking of you." And in that simplicity, the message becomes all the more meaningful. When someone misses you deeply, they hold on to the little things, the seemingly insignificant details that most people would forget. It's these very moments that often have the most emotional weight. And if he remembers them, it's a clear sign that his feelings for you are far from fleeting. These small details are more than just facts, they represent the connection you share, the unique bond that you've built together. It could be something as simple as remembering your favorite song, the one that always played during a particular time in your life, or perhaps it's the way you prefer your coffee, no sugar, but a dash of cinnamon, just the way you like it when you're feeling a bit indulgent. These details may seem trivial on the surface, but when someone recalls them, it signals that they are deeply attuned to you, to your likes and dislikes, your quirks and habits. They've taken the time to pay attention, to truly listen, and to appreciate you in a way that goes beyond the big moments. Why do these details matter so much? Because they show an emotional investment that transcends the surface. Anyone can remember the big events in life, the birthdays, the anniversaries, the milestones. But when someone is emotionally connected to you, they hold on to the quieter moments. Perhaps it's the way you mentioned your childhood pet in passing, or the way you once laughed at a shared inside joke. Maybe it's a memory of a time when you were feeling down, and you subtly mentioned how you like to watch a particular TV show to cheer yourself up. These tiny fragments of your life, things you may have long forgotten, remain etched in their mind because they represent you. They serve as reminders of the person you are and the bond you've shared. Even more meaningful is when these small details are used as a way to reach out. He may bring up a song that you both loved, sending you a message like, "I heard this today and it made me think of you." Or perhaps he recalls a small anecdote from a trip you took together and sends you a photo that reminds him of that time. In these moments, he's not just bringing up a random memory, he's showing that your shared experiences have left a lasting imprint on his heart. It's also about the effort. He might surprise you by recalling something you mentioned casually weeks or even months ago, showing that he's still paying attention, still thinking about you. This is not just a sign of a good memory, it's a sign of someone who values you, who cherishes the connection you've built and wants to keep it alive, even in the smallest of ways. These little gestures are a way for him to keep you present in his life, even if circumstances have pushed you apart for a time. And it's not just about remembering these details, it's about the emotional resonance they carry. When someone brings up a small detail, it's a way of saying, "I see you, I hear you, you matter to me." It's a reminder that in a world filled with distractions, someone is paying attention to the nuances that make you uniquely you. These small details are not simply facts, they are tokens of affection, of care, of genuine interest in who you are as a person. Perhaps the most striking thing about this is that these details don't have to be shared in grand declarations. He doesn't need to announce his feelings or explain why he's remembering them. It's in the quiet, subtle ways he brings them up. In the moments when he can simply mention, "I thought you'd like this," or "I saw this and it made me think of that time we," without a clear reason for doing so other than to keep the connection alive. In a sense, these small details are his way of carrying you with him, even when you're not physically around. They show that you've left a mark on him, and not just in the obvious or grand moments of your relationship, but in the everyday, ordinary interactions that have defined your bond. And the more he remembers, the more you know that his feelings go beyond the surface. They are deep, lasting, and rooted in emotional connection that transcends the everyday noise. In relationships, what's often left unsaid speaks the loudest. Body language is a powerful form of communication, especially when it comes to expressing emotions that words sometimes can't capture. When someone misses you deeply, their body will reveal feelings that they may not be comfortable or ready to vocalize. It's in these subtle, unspoken cues that you can sense the depth of their longing, affection, and desire for closeness. When he misses you, his body becomes an open book, a reflection of his emotional state. Even if he tries to conceal it or carry on with a facade of casualness, his body will tell a different story. These physical signs can be as powerful as any spoken word, often revealing what's truly in his heart. One of the first things you may notice is eye contact. When someone is emotionally invested, their eyes become a window to their soul. If he misses you, he'll often look at you with deeper, more lingering eye contact. His gaze may soften when it meets yours, and you might catch him stealing glances when he thinks you aren't paying attention. Eye contact can be incredibly intimate, and when someone is missing you, it's as if they are trying to bridge the physical gap between you two, silently seeking to connect. He might hold eye contact a little longer than usual, and when he does look away, his eyes may flicker with a sense of yearning or longing, even if he doesn't say it outright. Another key aspect of body language when someone misses you is proximity. Physical closeness is a powerful indicator of emotional closeness. If he finds himself gravitating toward you or leaning in a little closer during conversations, it's often an unconscious sign that he feels the need to be near you, to feel your presence. He may not always take the initiative to touch you, but his physical movements will show that he is drawn to you. Even in a group setting or in public, you may notice that he naturally positions himself near you, seeking proximity in a way that feels comfortable but still telling of his deeper feelings. Posture also plays a significant role in revealing someone's emotions. If he misses you, you might observe that his posture becomes more open and relaxed when you are around. His shoulders may soften, his arms may be less crossed or defensive, and he may find himself physically facing you more often. Conversely, when someone is closed off emotionally or trying to protect themselves, their body language becomes more guarded, crossed arms, tense shoulders, or turning away. But when someone misses you, their body naturally gravitates toward being open, relaxed, and willing to be vulnerable. This openness reflects a desire for connection and a silent willingness to engage with you. A less obvious but equally telling sign is mirroring the subconscious act of copying someone else's movements. If he mirrors your gestures, posture, or even speech patterns, it's a clear indicator that he feels emotionally connected to you. This behavior happens naturally when people feel comfortable and in sync with each other. When someone misses you, they subconsciously align their body language with yours in an attempt to reinforce the bond and feel a sense of closeness. Whether it's mimicking the way you hold your cup or leaning forward when you do, these small actions show that he is emotionally attuned to you. When it comes to touch, gentle, affectionate gestures are another important aspect of body language. Even the smallest touches, like a hand on your arm, a pat on your back, or a hand on the small of your back as you walk together, can signify a deep yearning for connection. He may not always be aware of it, but when he's missing you, his body will crave the intimacy of touch. These gestures, while often subtle, convey warmth, care, and a longing to reconnect in a tangible way. These aren't gestures of dominance or control, they are gestures of tenderness, of emotional closeness, and a desire to share in a physical space with you. You might also notice fidgeting or other nervous habits when he's around you. When someone misses you deeply, they can become slightly more anxious or uneasy, especially if they are unsure of how you feel or if they feel vulnerable in the moment. He may absent-mindedly adjust his clothes, play with his fingers, or pace back and forth. These small, often unconscious movements can reflect his inner state. He may want to reach out or act on his emotions, but is holding back out of uncertainty or fear of rejection. When someone misses you deeply, they often find themselves drawn back to the memories you've created together. Nostalgia in this context isn't just about recalling a happy moment or event, it's a longing for the feelings and emotional connection that were present during those times. When someone misses you, they'll frequently reflect on the past, not as a mere recollection, but as a way of reliving the bond that was once so strong. And the more he gets nostalgic, the clearer it becomes that his feelings for you are rooted in something much deeper than just passing affection. One of the first signs of nostalgia is when he brings up specific memories you two have shared. These may not always be grand moments or life-changing events. Instead, they often revolve around small, seemingly insignificant times that only the two of you truly understand. Perhaps it's a trip you took together, a quiet afternoon spent talking over coffee, or a spontaneous adventure that didn't go according to plan, but still ended up being a cherished memory. He may reminisce about the details that seemed unimportant at the time, but in hindsight have become symbols of the connection between you. Do you remember when he might say, invoking a specific event, as if pulling it out from the depths of time, because it still holds meaning for him. These memories for him are not mere stories, they are emotional anchors, reminders of a time when you shared a sense of closeness that is now missed. The key here is that when someone is nostalgic, they are actively seeking to revisit not just the event, but the feelings that came with it. It's not just about remembering the details, it's about longing to recreate that emotional connection. When he mentions a past memory, it's not because he's trying to live in the past, but because he wants to hold on to that emotional closeness. The memories act as a bridge between the present and the past, creating a space where he can feel that bond again, even if just for a moment. This nostalgic behavior can also manifest in shared routines or traditions that the two of you had. If he misses you, he might seek out those familiar routines in an attempt to reconnect with you. Maybe he watches a movie you both used to enjoy or visits a cafe where you once spent hours talking. He might listen to a song you both loved or pick up a hobby that you once shared. These actions aren't necessarily about missing the specific activity, they're about missing the feeling of being with you in those moments. By engaging in these rituals, he's subconsciously trying to bring those emotions back to life. It's as if those memories are comforting to him because they remind him of a time when everything felt right, when he was emotionally connected to you. Nostalgia can also appear in more subtle ways. He might reference inside jokes or small, shared details that only the two of you understand. These references can feel like private language, a way for him to reconnect with the version of himself that existed when you were close. It might be something as simple as bringing up a phrase or a joke that became an unspoken part of your relationship. In these moments, he's not only remembering the event, but also trying to relive the feelings of joy, comfort, and warmth that came with it. These inside jokes are like emotional keepsakes, tiny tokens that hold enormous sentimental value. He may mention them in passing as though they are casual remarks, but they carry the weight of deeper emotions beneath the surface. When someone is nostalgic, they are often seeking emotional closure. If the two of you have grown apart or there's been a period of distance between you, he might turn to the past as a way of understanding the present. Nostalgia becomes a way of reflecting on what was once good and trying to make sense of how things changed. It's as though he's revisiting the moments when you were close to see if there was something that could have been done differently, or simply to remember what it felt like to have you in his life. This search for meaning can bring up both fondness and regret, but it's always rooted in a desire to reconnect with a time when things felt easier or more certain. Interestingly, nostalgia often arises when someone feels a lack in their present life. If he's feeling lonely, uncertain, or emotionally distant from others, his mind may naturally turn to the comfort of the past. The memories of your time together represent a safer, happier place where he felt emotionally fulfilled and understood. When life becomes difficult or overwhelming, nostalgia serves as an emotional refuge, a way of temporarily escaping back to a time when he felt more emotionally supported, more seen, or more loved. He might not say it aloud, but when he brings up these past moments, it's his way of expressing that he is still emotionally tied to you. The act of reminiscing is a silent acknowledgement that the bond between you still exists in his heart. It's a way of keeping you close, even if physically you are far apart. He may not be able to articulate it fully, but in those moments of nostalgia, he is silently communicating that he values you deeply and still holds the time you spent together in a cherished place in his heart. Nostalgia can also serve as a form of hope. When someone is nostalgic, it's not only a reflection of the past, it's also a way of imagining that the positive emotions of the past can be rekindled in the future. Perhaps he's holding on to the hope that one day the two of you can recreate those moments or find a way back to that emotional closeness. The act of reminiscing becomes a way of expressing his desire to not let go of the bond you once shared, and possibly to revive it. In this way, nostalgia is a deeply emotional process. It's more than just a trip down memory lane. It's a longing for something that has been lost, an emotional connection that was once strong and now feels distant. When he gets nostalgic, it's a clear sign that he misses you profoundly, not just in the surface level sense, but in a deep emotional way. The past holds a sense of emotional security, and by recalling it, he's attempting to bring some of that warmth, comfort, and connection back into his present life. And in doing so, he's expressing his yearning for you in a way that words often cannot fully capture. When someone misses you deeply, it's not just about missing your presence, it's about caring for you as a person, about wanting to ensure that you are happy, healthy, and emotionally well. This concern for your well-being is a profound sign that their feelings for you go beyond surface level affection. It's an expression of genuine care and emotional investment in your life, even when you're not physically together. If he misses you, he will often demonstrate his feelings through small but meaningful actions and words that show he cares about your overall well-being. One of the most telling signs of someone's concern for your well-being is when they reach out not for their own benefit, but simply to check in on you. In a world where it's easy to get caught up in one's own life, someone who is missing you will make a concerted effort to make sure you're doing okay. This could be through a text, a phone call, or even a quick message asking, "How are you? Is everything going well?" At first glance, it may seem like a casual question, but when it comes from someone who misses you, it's more than just polite conversation. It's a deep, underlying concern for your emotional and physical health. He wants to know that you're okay, that you're not struggling, and that you're living your life in a way that brings you joy and fulfillment, even if he's not there to witness it firsthand. This concern also often extends beyond the emotional realm and includes your physical health. If he's truly missing you, he'll take note of the little things that indicate your health or well-being. He might ask if you've been getting enough rest, eating well, or if you've had time to relax. He may subtly remember past conversations where you mentioned feeling stressed or overwhelmed and ask if you're managing it better now. Even when you're not asking for advice or support, he'll reach out to offer it because he genuinely cares about your well-being. These questions aren't mere formalities, they are reflections of a desire to see you thriving, happy, and healthy, even when you're apart. It's important to note that his concern is often accompanied by empathy. When someone misses you deeply, their care for your well-being is driven not by obligation, but by a true sense of empathy. He might express understanding when you're going through tough times, perhaps remembering how you've dealt with challenges in the past. He might say something like, "I know you've been stressed lately, but I know how strong you are, and I hope you're taking care of yourself." This isn't just empty encouragement, it's an acknowledgement that he sees you, understands your struggles, and deeply wishes for you to overcome them and be at peace. Moreover, his concern for your well-being is often expressed in supportive actions. If he knows you've been struggling with something, he might offer to help in any way he can, even if it's just lending an ear or offering advice. He won't wait for you to ask for help because his desire to support you comes from a place of care. For example, if you've mentioned feeling overwhelmed by work or personal challenges, he may suggest ways to manage your stress, recommend a book that helped him through tough times, or simply offer a reassuring message to remind you that you're not alone. His actions will speak to a willingness to be there for you in whatever way he can, despite any distance between you. Another manifestation of concern for your well-being is a tendency to remember your needs sometimes even before you express them. When someone misses you, they often keep mental notes of things you shared in the past about your preferences, habits, or needs. He may send you a reminder to drink water when he knows you've been busy, or suggest taking a break when you've mentioned feeling overwhelmed. It's the little things, the gentle nudges to take care of yourself, that show how much he cares for you. It's not just about making sure you're doing well at this moment. It's about showing you that he remembers and values the things that make you you. This kind of care is deeply personal and reveals that he's not only thinking about you, but also thinking about your overall happiness and comfort in all aspects of life. Even in the way he engages with you in conversation, you can sense this concern. If he asks about your future plans, your goals, or how you've been feeling about recent changes in your life, it reflects a genuine interest in your personal growth and emotional well-being. He's not simply asking to keep the conversation going, he's asking because he wants to understand where you are emotionally and mentally, to offer support or to celebrate with you in moments of joy. His questions are less about small talk and more about connecting with you on a deeper, more meaningful level. This concern for your well-being may also take the form of nonverbal cues. He may act differently around you, offering comfort and reassurance in his presence. For example, if you've been talking about a difficult situation, he may exhibit signs of concern through his body language, leaning in, offering a reassuring touch on your arm, or nodding with understanding. These actions aren't meant to fix anything, they're simply his way of letting you know he's there for you, that he's emotionally invested in your happiness and well-being. There's a certain vulnerability tied to this concern for your well-being. They may worry about your happiness, feel the pain of your struggles, or even feel a sense of helplessness when they cannot be there physically to offer support. This emotional investment is not always easy to express directly, but in subtle, everyday actions, it becomes clear that their care for you is a reflection of a deeper connection, a desire to see you thrive and be well, both for your sake and for the bond you share. Ultimately, when someone misses you and shows concern for your well-being, it's an expression of love, care, and emotional depth. It's a desire to be part of your life, to protect you from harm, and to offer support when you need it most. This care is not conditional or transactional. It's rooted in an understanding that your happiness, health, and emotional balance matter to him deeply. In these gestures, whether large or small, you can see how much he values you not just as a person, but as someone worth protecting, supporting, and nurturing, no matter the distance between you. In relationships, the signs that someone misses you are often not loud or dramatic, but they are deeply meaningful. From the way he reaches out without clear reason to the subtle shifts in his body language, every action reflects the depth of his emotional investment in you. The nostalgia he expresses for the moments you shared, the care he shows for your well-being, and the consistent effort he makes to keep the bond alive, these are all reflections of a heart that longs for connection and closeness. When someone misses you deeply, it's not merely a longing for your presence, it's an acknowledgement of the emotional bond you share, the impact you've had on their life, and the desire to preserve that connection, no matter the distance. These signs are reminders that love is not just about physical proximity, but about an ongoing emotional connection that transcends time and space. The ways in which someone shows that they miss you are varied and personal, but the underlying message is always clear: you matter to them, and your presence in their life is something they cherish deeply. So the next time you find yourself wondering if someone misses you, pay attention to these small yet profound signals. They may not be loud declarations, but they are certainly powerful expressions of love, care, and longing. And in these moments, you can be assured that the connection between you is not just remembered, it is deeply felt, now and always.